Imagine a world where entire communities vanish without leaving a trace, where centuries pass, and historians, archaeologists, and researchers are left with nothing but questions, theories, and eerie clues. Picture stepping into a 16th-century American wilderness, a land filled with dense forests, unpredictable weather, and an unfamiliar world for English settlers arriving from across the Atlantic. Among the most chilling and fascinating mysteries in early American history are the stories of the lost colonies, settlements established by ambitious explorers only to disappear entirely, leaving behind haunting questions that have never been answered. Today, we embark on a journey into one of the most enigmatic chapters of America's past, focusing on a colony whose fate remains one of history's most enduring puzzles. This is the story of the Roanoke colony, the original lost colony, and the chilling events surrounding it that continue to captivate the imagination of historians and mystery enthusiasts alike. In the late 1500s, Europe was a continent in motion, filled with ambition, exploration, and fierce competition. England, eager to expand its influence and compete with Spain and Portugal, sought to establish colonies in the New World. These attempts were far from simple. The journey across the Atlantic was perilous, filled with storms, disease, and the constant threat of starvation. England's leaders understood the high stakes. A successful colony would secure resources, trade routes, and strategic advantages in a world increasingly dominated by rival empires. Against this backdrop, a group of settlers prepared to venture into an unknown land, driven by hope, ambition, and perhaps a touch of desperation. Little did they know that their story would become one of the most haunting mysteries in the history of early America. John White, an experienced explorer, artist, and visionary, led the establishment of the Roanoke colony on the coast of what is now North Carolina. The colony consisted of around 115 men, women, and children, individuals with dreams of a new life, but with limited understanding of the challenges that awaited them. They arrived on Roanoke Island with provisions intended to sustain them for only a limited period, and they quickly realized that survival would demand resilience and ingenuity. The early months were harsh. Every day presented a new test of endurance. The environment was unforgiving, and the settlers learned that the new world was equally full of peril. Within a short time, it became apparent that the colony would require additional supplies and support from England. John White, aware of the urgent needs of his community, returned to England to gather resources, leaving behind the settlers who depended on his guidance. However, what was expected to be a brief journey became a prolonged absence due to political unrest, threats of war, and logistical delays. 3 long years passed before White could finally return to Roanoke Island. When he arrived in 1590, he discovered a scene that defied explanation. The colony was empty. Houses stood abandoned, supplies were untouched, and there were no signs of struggle or violence. The only clue left behind was a single word carved into a post, CROATOAN, a message both cryptic and haunting. It provided a single thread of hope, or a single question, amid the total disappearance of the settlers. The mystery of the word CROATOAN has fascinated historians for centuries. Some theorize that it was a reference to a nearby island, home to the Croatan tribe, suggesting that the settlers may have sought refuge among the indigenous people. Archaeological investigations on Roanoke and surrounding areas have occasionally uncovered artifacts hinting at European presence beyond the original settlement, including tools and pottery shards. Yet despite these tantalizing clues, no definitive evidence has emerged to explain what ultimately happened to the settlers. Every discovery seems to deepen the mystery rather than resolve it. Contemporary accounts from the period provide additional context. John White's journals and sketches offer detailed records of the colony's environment, flora, fauna, and interactions. For England, the disappearance was not merely a human tragedy, but a symbolic blow to its colonial ambitions in the New World, underscoring the risks and uncertainties inherent in overseas expansion. Over time, numerous theories have attempted to explain the fate of the Roanoke settlers. One of the most widely discussed ideas is that the colonists assimilated with local Native American tribes. Oral histories and sporadic archaeological findings suggest that Europeans may have been integrated into tribal communities, adapting to new social and cultural environments. However, evidence remains inconclusive. Another theory posits that the colonists attempted to move to another location, whether inland or along the coast, in search of safety or better resources, only to succumb to disease or harsh conditions. Some speculate that the Spanish may have targeted the colony, though historical records offer scant support. Others consider the possibility of internal conflict or even a natural disaster that wiped out the settlement. The story of the lost colony of Roanoke also raises questions about human behavior and survival under extreme circumstances. Psychologists and sociologists analyze the ways in which fear and uncertainty influence decision-making. How do people respond when isolated in an unfamiliar environment? How do communities maintain cohesion when faced with insurmountable challenges? The fate of Roanoke presents a case study in human resilience. What makes this story particularly compelling is the combination of tangible history and tantalizing uncertainty. We know the colony existed, yet we are left with a complete absence of closure. This dynamic of engagement is what gives the tale of the lost colony such enduring appeal, making it a perfect subject for storytelling, documentaries, and deep historical exploration. As modern archaeologists continue to investigate, new technologies provide fresh ways to examine old evidence. Ground-penetrating radar, DNA analysis, and remote sensing have all been applied in attempts to locate signs of the lost settlers. Occasionally, findings suggest possible habitation areas or interactions with local populations, but definitive proof remains elusive. Every discovery confirms that the truth remains just out of reach. It is this unresolved tension between history and mystery that fuels fascination and drives continued research, ensuring that the story of the lost colonies remains alive in the public imagination. The enduring allure of the Roanoke mystery lies in its ability to combine elements of survival, exploration, human psychology, and historical intrigue into a single narrative. Unlike other historical events, Roanoke challenges our understanding, forcing us to confront the limits of knowledge and the unpredictability of human fate. It asks us to imagine the daily lives of those settlers, their fears, hopes, and decisions, and to consider how easily a community can disappear when faced with relentless adversity. In doing so, it transcends time, connecting modern audiences with the past. The lost colony of Roanoke remains a symbol of the fragility of early American settlements, the challenges of colonization, and the mysteries that history sometimes leaves behind. But for now, the empty houses, abandoned tools, and the single word CROATOAN carved into a post continue to speak across the centuries, whispering questions that remain unanswered, drawing us deeper into one of America's most compelling and haunting historical mysteries. The fate of the settlers may never be fully known, but the lessons and the fascination they inspire will endure forever. When we last left the story of the Roanoke colony, a single word carved into a post, CROATOAN, remained the only clue in an otherwise empty settlement. This single word has sparked centuries of speculation. This single word, enigmatic and haunting, has sparked centuries of speculation, research, and storytelling. But to truly explore the fate of the lost colonists, we must consider all the possibilities. What might have driven these settlers to disappear completely? Could they have survived, or were they doomed from the start by circumstances beyond their control? One of the most widely discussed theories is that the colonists integrated with local Native American tribes. The CROATOAN tribe, living on a nearby island, is frequently cited as the most likely community. This theory is supported by oral traditions, as well as occasional archaeological findings, such as European-style tools, beads, and artifacts found in indigenous settlements. If true, it suggests that the settlers adapted to survive, exchanging their European customs for a life among the tribes, leaving behind their homes as they became part of a new community. Another compelling theory is that the Roanoke settlers attempted to relocate, seeking a safer or more resource-rich environment. Historical records hint at multiple potential settlement sites. However, this would have been an incredibly risky endeavor. Harsh terrain, limited food supplies, disease, and the unpredictable climate of the Carolinas could have led to death along the way. This scenario paints a picture of a desperate journey where survival required courage, determination, and perhaps a measure of luck that the colonists ultimately did not possess. Some historians have suggested the possibility of conflict, either internal or external. The colony may have faced tensions between settlers, disagreements over leadership, or clashes with neighboring tribes. While the settlers maintained relations with some local groups, the dynamics were fragile and could have broken down under stress. There is also speculation that European rivals, such as the Spanish, could have launched attacks. Yet, the historical record provides scant evidence for this, leaving these theories in the realm of possibility rather than certainty. Disease and natural disasters offer another plausible explanation. The settlers arrived with little immunity to local pathogens. Epidemics could have swept through the community. Hurricanes, floods, and harsh winters would have compounded the difficulties. In such circumstances, even small miscalculations could have catastrophic consequences. A combination of disease, malnutrition, and environmental hazards may have wiped out the colony. Archaeology continues to play a critical role. Excavations on Roanoke Island and surrounding areas have uncovered fragments of pottery, tools, and even skeletal remains that suggest a European presence beyond the settlement. Advances in technology, such as ground-penetrating radar and DNA analysis, have allowed researchers to detect subtle traces of past human activity. While not definitive, they provide tantalizing evidence. Each discovery adds layers to the story, bridging centuries and offering a glimpse into the lives of the settlers. We are closer to understanding, yet the ultimate truth remains elusive. Psychological and social dynamics also help explain potential outcomes. In extreme situations, communities may fracture, with some members choosing to venture out alone, others joining local populations, and some succumbing to the environment entirely. Human resilience and adaptability are remarkable, yet they have limits. The Roanoke settlers faced a perfect storm of challenges: isolation, resource scarcity, environmental hazards, and uncertainty about the outside world. Any combination of these factors could have led to the colony's dissolution, with survivors disappearing into the broader landscape or perishing quietly, leaving only whispers of their existence behind. Modern researchers continue to revisit historical documents, cross-referencing maps, letters, and reports from the period. John White's detailed sketches, for example, offer not only a visual record, but subtle hints about geography, settlement patterns, and relationships with local tribes. These sketches, combined with new archaeological data, provide a multidimensional perspective that previous generations of historians lacked. Yet, despite all efforts, the mystery remains unresolved. Every analysis raises further questions. Were some settlers captured? Did some perish at sea? Could others have moved inland to establish new, temporary settlements? The absence of definitive evidence ensures that speculation and debate will continue indefinitely. The cultural impact of the lost colony is profound. Over centuries, Roanoke has inspired countless stories, novels, and theories. Writers and historians alike have been captivated by the blend of fact and uncertainty, crafting narratives that explore not only what happened, but what might have happened. This interplay between history and imagination has cemented Roanoke as a symbol of human curiosity, resilience, and the enduring power of mystery. For viewers and learners today, the story resonates because it combines real historical events with universal themes of survival, exploration, and the unknown. As we reflect on the possible fates of the settlers, we must also consider the lessons embedded in their story. The lost colony illustrates the fragility of human endeavors in unfamiliar environments, the challenges of leadership and community under extreme stress, and the role of contingency and luck in historical outcomes. It reminds us that even carefully planned ventures can unravel in the face of unforeseen challenges, and that human history is often shaped by forces beyond our control. In this sense, the story of Roanoke transcends time, offering insights into the broader human experience that remain relevant today. In conclusion, the lost colony of Roanoke continues to captivate our imagination because it is at once a historical event and an unresolved mystery. Its disappearance challenges us to think critically about history. Whether the settlers perished, relocated, or assimilated into indigenous communities, the story endures as a testament to both the risks of exploration and the enduring allure of unanswered questions. Every artifact uncovered, every journal entry analyzed, brings us closer to understanding, yet the ultimate truth remains elusive. The word CROATOAN echoes across time, calling on us to wonder. The lost colony reminds us that some mysteries may never be solved, and perhaps that is precisely why they continue to fascinate, intrigue, and inspire each generation to imagine the lives of those who vanished. And so, the story of Roanoke is not merely about disappearance. It is about survival, adaptation, and the human capacity to face the unknown. It is a story of resilience against unimaginable odds. History is not only a record of events, but a living dialogue between the past and the present. As we continue to explore, the lost colony stands as both a cautionary tale and a source of inspiration. The fate of the settlers may never be fully known, but the fascination they inspire will endure forever, leaving an indelible mark on the story of exploration, human courage, and the eternal mystery of the unknown. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of history's greatest puzzles. Until next time, keep exploring,